About 90% of the managers that I speak with, and some of them are even like the startup founders or business owners, they always say, I wish that my team would be able to solve their own problems. The real star power LEGO Serious Play is where you take it beyond a theory and you actually use it in a genuine brainstorming, strategy, or problem-solving work, and you use it as a real-time metaphor and methodology to install and transfer concepts and knowledge to solve your problems.
Welcome to the Voices of Impact, the podcast where we go behind the training room and into the real stories of people who are shaping learning and transformation. Hi, my name is Hamid.
And my name is Nadir.
Our today's guest is someone I trust very much when it comes to helping people think better, faster, and more effectively. He specializes in problem solving and critical thinking using LEGO Serious Play, a methodology backed by research in cognitive science and widely used by organizations to improve strategy, alignment, and decision making. By engaging both hand and mind, this approach uncovers insights that conventional discussions often miss, making complex problems visible, shared, and actionable. I believe it's best to hear the rest from him. Please join me to welcome Alex Leong. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
All right, it's absolutely a pleasure having you. All right, to begin things, Alex, I know you have a love for history. Is there a particular historical figure that inspires you?
Wow, that's a great question to start with. Do I have a particular favorite historical figure? You know what? Most people would assume this, and it's totally not. Alexander the Great, yeah, because obviously my name is Alex, his name is Alex, he likes Mediterranean food, I like Mediterranean food. You know what? Of course, we're the same person, but he's actually not my favorite historical figure. My favorite historical figure is actually a Greek philosopher from about 2,000 to 2,500 years ago, and his name is Socrates. Socrates was the teacher of Plato, and many people regard him as the father of modern education and modern philosophy.
That's good. That's very good. I was holding my breath when you said Alexander the Great. Because the only Alexander that we know is really great is Alex Leong.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say Alex Ferguson, you know? I'm assuming you're Manchester United fans.
Manchester City, the other side of...
Come on. And I thought you were the football fan. I'm not the football fan.
Me neither. I'm not a football fan. Okay, all right, very good. So Socrates is who basically inspires you.
Socrates, what he represented, courage, the curiosity, the desire to learn, to fill in the knowledge gap, and also the willingness to question yourself. I think that now especially, there's too many people who lack that self-awareness. And what Socrates represents to me, all those good virtues that we like, but also that courage to really question yourself and ask, like, what do I know? What do I not know? How am I so sure that I'm right? And that, I think, really stuck with me for the longest time. And it reminds me to reflect. It reminds me to challenge myself. Can I be better? I can always be kinder. I can always improve myself for all of my participants and students.
Amazing. Really love the answer. Very good. Really good.
And we do understand that you come from a family of educators. How did that actually influence your path into training?
Well, as the both of you know, my father, Philip, is my mentor, and he was my first guide and introduction into this whole world of training and facilitation. So what influence did it have on my formation as a trainer? At the start, nothing at all, yeah? And that's the ego talking. And now, all of it. I resisted teaching. I resisted training for the first time. I think this is the first time I'm actually telling you this story, but for the longest time, I never wanted to be an educator. I resisted it. Have you ever heard this phrase? It's a terrible phrase, which is those who can do and those who cannot teach. And I used to be one of those people who said that, oh no, it's like teaching is or training is a last resort for me. And then I went through life and I realized that every job experience I had, it didn't satisfy me. But when I was helping people, when I was showing, let's say, my juniors or my interns on my team how to perform a certain task, when I was doing some knowledge sharing or doing CPD courses for my coworkers, I felt happy. And that's when I started thinking, oh, you know what, maybe I could be good at this. Maybe education is something that could really work out for me. And as I went further down that path, I realized that, oh, actually, it's a superpower and a blessing to be born into a family which has that rich, decades-long pedigree of teaching and educating.
In short, you have finally realized that it was your destiny.
Oh, destiny is, it's like when you're a young man, you resist your what your parents want. They tell you, right, be a doctor, be a lawyer. You're like, no, but mom, no, dad, I don't want to do it. And then you get older and you're like, oh, actually, you were right all along. So destiny is making it sound very epic. I think it's more of I found myself back at the path that I was meant to be on. I took a long detour from that path. But when I came back to the path, I was ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
You realize that it's embedded in the DNA.
Oh, no, you're getting very deep into it.
I'm saying that because I come from a long line of teachers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
how many generations?
Quite a few. So
2 to 3.
As far as I know, like my parents and their parents. I don't know if it goes any beyond that.
Oh, it's just me and my father.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just 2 is not a pattern. Now, if I have kids and they decide to become educators, now we're talking.
Okay.
But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
We could be there.
We could.
Sounds good though.
Don't scare my wife.
Okay, all right, very good. So, hopefully one day you get to do that and show the path, perhaps, to your child, and it's an honorable path to take.
Yes.
But perhaps the first thing that you might want to do for him, or you might be doing it for anyone who doesn't know what you do, is describing what you do. And we would like to know that as well.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. What do I do? In a word, I teach. In 2 words, I enable learning. So I don't see myself as a trainer. I don't tell people, I don't introduce myself as a trainer or even a facilitator. I like to say instead that I am a learning specialist or a learning coach. People have problems. Companies have problems. And sometimes the thinking that gets people to that stage where they have a problem, they cannot move forward, the more they try or the harder they work, they aren't able to solve their problems. And that's where they bring me in. So I come in and I basically conduct workshops that help people. Yes, they're going to learn new skills, new soft skills and problem solving, but it's also about a chance, giving them space for self-reflection and self-awareness, just so they can actually question, before doing this and implementing this system, what are we doing that used to make sense but doesn't make any more sense now? And maybe instead of just adding, we can also subtract. So what I do is I come in and I facilitate those conversations, sometimes in a structured learning environment, or sometimes just as a more informal, like a staff retreat or offsite.
Talking about problem solving, like what actually led you to focus on helping teams to think differently and solve problems differently?
What prompted me to go down that direction?
Go down on that path.
Oh, wow. That's a deep question. I guess the honest answer is there was never one trigger or one prompt that made me think, that's it. I'm going to be the creative and critical thinking guy. This is my path. It really just is the path of least resistance. In training, we always work with our clients, L&D managers or hiring managers, HR managers. And when we're not in session, during the break or during the lunchtime, one thing that I found very helpful for myself is actually just asking them, hey, off the record, what do you need right now? What is the biggest issue or the biggest gap that you see in your organization, especially when it comes to hiring or retaining new talent? And about 90% of the managers that I speak with, and some of them are even like the startup founders or business owners, they always say, I wish that my people, I wish that my team would be able to solve their own problems. Because in Asian culture, it's very top down. It's like, oh, I have a problem. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to ask my manager, and he's going to ask his manager, and it goes all the way back to the top. And we don't really see that in Western culture. So I looked at that and I had all these conversations and I thought, oh, that's a very interesting avenue to explore. Problem solving, empowering individuals and teams to actually take responsibility over their problem solving and giving them mental frameworks, giving them structures that they can use to make a clearer and faster decision. So it wasn't ever really one thing. It was actually a series of conversations that made me think, oh, there might be some potential over there.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Really nice to know. Okay. Nowadays, we understand you work with organizations rendering solutions with regards to leadership, problem solving, as you mentioned just now, critical thinking, and so on. However, one of those significant programs that stands out from the rest is Lego Serious Play, or what we know you for, right? That's how we got to know you first time.
That's right.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, how did you get into Lego Serious Play, per se?
I can give you the long answer and the short answer. Which one do you want to hear first?
We have all the time.
Okay, well, the long answer is all the way back in 1997, during the time of the Asian financial
Let's skip
crash.
this one.
Okay, but seriously, 1997, my story with Lego is actually a story of my life and my passion. My children play with different toys, but from a very young age, I seem to have abandoned the toy trucks and all the other stuff. And my parents tell me I was very fixated on Lego. Somewhere in my parents' house, there is a photo of me at 5 years old, and I had just won a competition. I was the fastest person out of, I think, 35 children to assemble the Malaysian flag, the Jalo Gemilang, using only Lego. I was
At 5
years
years
old. Yeah.
old.
Wow.
So the long story is really my Lego is something that I've always gravitated towards. It's something that helped me. It's something that encouraged me to boost my brain power and think about creative and critical problem solving even from a very young age. And then I went to college. I entered the workforce and I put away the toys. Right? I thought, oh, Lego is just a children's toy. It can't really help me. And then a couple of years into my education career, I started seeing this new trend, Lego Serious Play. And I thought, well, what is this Lego Serious Play stuff? And then someone said, oh, it's, corporations and companies and businesses actually can use Lego to solve their problems or to maybe upskill their workers. And that actually reignited my passion and curiosity. And I thought, wow, this thing that really brought me a lot of joy and a lot of meaning when I was a child, I can transfer that same feeling of wonder and exploration and discovery to people in the 21st century. Oh, I want to find out more about that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, good. For those like perhaps never experienced Lego Serious Play workshop, right? If you can like walk us through a session where Lego Serious Play is used and how it actually differs from traditional workshops.
So let's start with a traditional workshop. Now, if you can imagine, you can close your eyes or you can keep your eyes open. Imagine in a traditional workshop, what does that look like to you? It's a room, just like this.
Yeah.
There's one, maybe two whiteboards. Sometimes there's a flip chart. Sometimes there's paper on the stand, and you have people sitting in either neat, orderly rows, and they have their workbooks open, and then the facilitator or the trainer comes in, and time to start, and they start the class. And then what happens, right? The workshop usually turns not into a training, it usually turns into a lecture. And is it effective? Well, maybe, right? Sometimes it is. But the feeling changes. And I've always thought that for some learners, not everyone learns through that academic style. Some people, myself included, actually like to be hands-on. Yeah, I suspect that quite a number of people actually prefer to learn, meaning that if you show me, maybe I learn. If you tell me 10 times, maybe I understand. But give me something to do with my hands. Give me something. And that's where the real education comes in, because now that's how I make meaning out of it. So the difference for a Lego Serious Play workshop is that we have the same things. There's a whiteboard, there's a flip chart, there's some learning and knowledge transfer going on, but the participants take more responsibility. So instead of this one-way communication where I'm the trainer, I'm the facilitator, and I'm spilling over and transferring all this knowledge to you, you get what I like to call co-creation, where you know something, but we assume that the participants also know something. They have the technical knowledge, they have the skills, they have the experience, and the Lego is just a methodology that helps them tap into what they already know. So instead of having group discussions or journaling and writing it down, they actually get to immediately look at something, a visual metaphor, that's the Lego, and it prompts a deeper dive into themselves. And now they say, oh, actually, I have encountered this before. I have an idea. I just never had the words to express it, but the Lego is actually helping prompt me so that I can articulate what was already inside.
By building and showing it in real life.
That's right, yeah. But they're not building. If you walk into a Lego store, you'll see, the unicorn, Harry Potter, Star Wars. So those are play sets. So Lego Serious Play differs in the sense that you're not building a literal diorama or set depicting the scenario. Instead, what they do is they're building a 3D representation of what's going on inside here. My thoughts, my feelings, my anxiety, my stress, but also my hopes, what I think would be a perfect outcome. These are things that people have in their hearts, at work, in meetings, but they don't always feel brave enough to voice it out. The Lego makes them feel that they have permission to voice it out.
Nice.
Fantastic. I can say you partially answered my next question, but I still want to ask, because we come across quite a number of managers and decision makers when it comes to Lego Serious Play. They hear the part play and they say that is the opposite of production. So, yeah. So, how would you convince them that this is actually the opposite is true and it's a misconception? It helps with productivity.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's actually funny enough that you should mention that. That is one of the biggest points of contention that I have with managers, HR people, and business owners. And in fact, if you ask any LSP facilitator, they would tell you the same thing. There is that initial skepticism, especially for people who are very new to LSP, where they have that same limiting belief that I used to have, which is, really? Lego? My son, my 5-year-old son or my 3-year-old daughter, they play with Lego. And hang on, you want me to pay you to get my people to play for 1 day, 2 days? Oh, you must be out of your mind. And I understand. I understand the skepticism. I too used to be very skeptical. But what they've done is the thing about Lego Serious Play is that it's actually very rigorously researched. If you understand pedagogy, the science of how people teach and how people learn, that's what pedagogy is. And it delves deep into neuroscience, work of Dr. John Medina, brain rules. If you look at Jean Piaget, how children develop their brains, or even Maria Montessori, the founder of Montessori preschools.
Yeah.
What they found is that humans, and I hope that includes all three of us in this conversation, we're what is described as in the community as a ludic creature. Now, what is a ludic creature? Ludic creature means that humans are very, very good at working, right? We are amazing workers. We're industrious. We can stay up until 2 a.m. We can pull all-nighters. We don't give up. We can go all the way until the job is done. So we can be very productive, very serious. But humans also need play. And when you take a look at what people do in their free time, when we're not working, when we're not studying, what do? Humans are playing. It's how children learn in preschool. Play helps people socialize. It helps them work through their own problems. And then what happens is we enter 6 years old, 7 years old, and then we tell the child that has been learning about the world through play, saying, okay, this play, this is kid stuff. Starting from now, you're going to learn real skills. Your
No more
reading,
playing around.
your writing, your arithmetic. We tell children that, right? We say, oh, you're 18 years old. It's time to get serious. No more playing around. Oh, you finished your internship. You've completed your probation. It's time to stop playing around. And I've always found that serious. Like, what if actually people perform their best when they play around? So the entire premise of Lego Serious Play is that at work, we tend to focus on driving results and driving performance, and we go on and on and on and on. And that the reality of that is that it does drain motivation. We talk about this modern phenomenon called burnout. And this is just a personal opinion. Yeah, I'm not stating myself as the authority on this. When it's all work and no play, Jack becomes a dull boy. When it's all work, no play, Jill burns out, and then she has to go on sabbatical, and then her performance suffers at work. So we know that play is important, but we also don't want unstructured play because that just sounds like wasting time. So Lego Serious Play is actually, we're going to play, but we're going to play with a purpose. It will be structured, and the role of me or a Lego Serious Play facilitator is to kind of put the play on guardrails or on training wheels to make sure that we're creating a safe space for you to play and express yourself, but with an objective. So that means that it's not wasting time. In fact, it's kind of like you're taking 2 steps back so you can make 10 steps forward. So we're playing for 1, 2, or 4 hours so that for the next 1, 2 months or even quarters or years, you can get that performance enhancement out of your staff. That would be the difference for me.
So basically, LSP increases your productivity through serious play, not just a play. This is serious. That's why they call it Lego Serious Play.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So another like a fascinating thing about Lego Serious Play is that it creates like a special connection between our brain and our hand. Can you tell us more about it, and how does it actually help teams?
So if anyone has ever heard about LSP, in some of the scientific literature, they talk about the brain-to-hand connection. And what does that mean? Yeah, it's a bit confusing. So the analogy I would use is this. Have you ever seen the movie Titanic?
Yep.
So in the movie Titanic, the ship gets sunk by the iceberg. And in psychology, they call this the iceberg theory. Now, what can you tell me about the iceberg? It's very, very big, right? But you don't really see very much of the whole thing. Majority of it, maybe 80-90% of the total volume of the iceberg is under the surface. Yeah. And only the top 10 or 20% is above the surface. Now, what does that represent? It actually represents us. It's a metaphor for us in life and in work. At all times, we're only aware of maybe 10 or 20%, because we have limited mental resources. Brain is really lazy. It doesn't like to keep too many open tabs. So it keeps a few processes running, but the majority of things, like why we say what we say, why we do what we do, our habits, our mental processes, they're still running, but they're running under the surface in autopilot. So what this means is sometimes when we encounter a problem at work, like, my stakeholders are very they don't understand me. I'm having a communication breakdown at work. I have issues with timetabling and my task management and all that stuff. This is stuff that we're aware of. Mm-hmm. And when we solve our problems, we're trying to use only that 10 or 20% of available space and attention that is available to us. So that's the brain, yeah? And the hand knowledge is the idea that what if you could activate not only your conscious brain, but also your subconscious brain. All the embedded and embodied processes that actually are running in the background are percolating, analyzing, feeling, thinking, processing. And the brain-hand connection is the idea that maybe I don't have the words right now, Hamid and Nadir, but if you give me something like a piece of paper, yeah, or if you give me a piece of Lego, a few pieces of Lego, my hands can actually work on these in real time. And what's happening is my body is actually working through the problem in parallel with my brain at the same time. So that's the brain-hand connection. Let's say, for example, you talk about creating a 5-star customer service experience. Okay, it might take me a while to say, well, what are the traits or characteristics of a 5-star customer service experience? I may have maybe 10, 20% available to me right now. But in my body, in my subconscious, it has some knowledge, it has some ideas. So if I ask you to describe what is 5-star customer service, I can tell you maybe 10 things. But if instead I said, use the Lego, build me a model or an image that represents 5-star customer service to you, and you build it, and then you have to explain it and tell a story about it, then instead of talking about 5 things or 10 things, now you're talking about 20 or 30 things. Oh, it actually looks like this. Oh, it feels like this. Oh, this is the size, this is the dimension. This is how it feels on our side. This is how it feels to the receiver or the customer. And suddenly all these unspoken beliefs and values and assumptions, they all come to the surface. So that's the idea of brain hand. The brain knows, but sometimes it doesn't really get to speak what it wants. But the hand knows, and the hand has no such mental filter. It just builds what it wants to build.
Fantastic. So what I'm understanding is that perhaps a problem that could have been only thought about or solved potentially within the capacity of your mind, you will actually be able to manifest it into a physical form and tackle it that way?
Manifesting is an interesting word. I think the additional benefit of the Lego series play method is words are very subjective, aren't they? You know, if I talk about, oh, that was a fair negotiation, or that person, he's a good leader, that woman, she shows excellent leadership characteristics. And then we talk about, oh, well, what do you mean by that? Oh, well, she's assertive, she is on time, she has integrity, she has passion, she's open to feedback. Now, here's the danger of using words. All these words are coming out, but do they mean the same thing to all of us? No, right? No. Because all of us, we go through life differently and we have our own interpretation of passion, integrity, good and bad, right and wrong, fair and unfair. So in a meeting or in a normal training, we will say, oh, what are the top 10 traits of a successful leader or manager? And everyone will say, oh, cares for their people, willing to give feedback, fair, objective, honest. And everyone will say, okay, job's done, we all agree. And then we all go back. But we all still have different assumptions about what we just agreed on. Lego actually brings those assumptions to the surface. So if I've got 10 people over here and I say, I want you to build a model using the Lego of what represents good leadership to you. What does the ideal manager or boss like to you? Well, we're going to build the Lego model. And then everyone gets a chance to share. And then we'll say, hang on a second. Why does yours look so different from mine? And why does yours look so different from Nadir's? Hey, wait a minute. So it looks like we're agreeing, but actually, brain-hand connection, there's a lot under the surface. And now we can have a really deep discussion.
I got quite a good picture of it. Perhaps my next question would be, where do you think Lego Serious Play actually shines? What type of problems, what kind of scenarios that this would be most effective?
Where does Lego Serious Play really shine? I think Lego Serious Play as a methodology works best when everyone in the session is either in the same team, in the same department, or at the same level of responsibility. Let's say assistant manager level or senior managers. And the reason for that is you can use Lego Serious Play in 2 different ways. You can use it to install and transfer concepts and knowledge. So that would be more of Lego Serious Play for education and training. But the real star power of Lego Serious Play is where you take it beyond a theory and you actually use it in a genuine brainstorming, strategy, or problem-solving work meeting. Meaning it's not theory, it's practical, and you use it as a real-time metaphor and methodology to solve your problems. And this is a scenario that I had from one of my contacts who is also an LSP facilitator. He was called in to do a conflict management session. Conflict management. And before he went in for the session, he thought that it would just be a training. I'm going to teach you about conflict management and resolution methodology using Lego. But when he spoke to the PIC, he got to understand that actually, that's not what they were looking for. It turns out that there actually was a dispute going on between multiple teams, specifically the section heads of different departments. They all had the same goal, but the method that they wanted, the way they approached the problem was very, very different. So it was a very bizarre scenario. It's like the left hand doesn't want to do what the right hand is doing. So when he went in, he had a choice. I can teach you the concept or the theory, and then who knows whether you can resolve the conflict or not. Or I can use that one day to actually help you. I will be the moderator, I'll be your adjudicator, I'll be your facilitator, and in this room, we're going to all have it out using Lego as a way to talk about what's going on, what's the issue. That is where Lego really stands out.
It's interesting that you one of the things that you mentioned is strategic thinking, right? When we think about strategic thinking workshops, right, what comes to our mind is a lot of brainstorming, a lot of ideas, whiteboards, sticky notes, messy stuff, right?
Transparent glass windows and all that
exactly,
stuff.
sticky notes on your face, right? But when it comes to like a Lego series play, it talks about strategic landscape. Tell us more about it.
Okay, yeah, good one. So remember what I said about building a metaphor, right? So that's for an individual level. Now in Lego Series Play methodology, there are 7 different levels. Yeah, we call them AT, level 1 until level 7. AT1, the lowest level, is build something based on my own personal subjective experience. Level 3 is as a team of 3 or 4 people, we're going to discuss, we're going to work together, and we're going to build one shared model. As you get to the higher levels, you're basically involving more and more decision makers and more participants, and now they're building a shared landscape. So now, let's say I'll just give a past example. If I'm an automotive manufacturer, yeah, and I'm building a strategic landscape, I'm not going to be building a model that represents me as an individual contributor. Instead, I'll use the Lego to create a very abstract, high-level representation of our business. Finance department, operations, warehousing, inventory, supply chain, vendors, and suppliers. And you know what? We'll even plug in our competitors. Yeah, China brands, US brands, Korean brands, Japanese brands. And that's what we call the strategic landscape. Because when we're drawing these things out on paper and using Venn diagrams and waterfall charts and doing force field analysis, these are all just words. But if I can actually, with my team, create a landscape of where we are, what we have right now, plant, production, capacity, dealerships, and if I can do a historical analysis of, okay, here's where we are now, what led us here, and what's going on right now, I can use the Lego to build what we call agents in the landscape. How do they interfere and how do they have an influence on other parts of the landscape? Now, what do I get to see? I get to see hidden opportunities. I get to see that, oh, actually, there's a thing here that we thought was not very important, but it turns out that it connects to all these other parts of the landscape. Maybe we should focus more attention there. And that is how I can get a better outcome. So that's what we mean by strategic landscape. You are literally building a landscape representing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your business.
And again, going back to manifestation, so all your strategic thinking is basically manifested in real life in 3D form, and you can actually get to see it.
Yeah. And the power of that is because when you're building it, now you're basically you're thinking out loud. It's kind of like instead of Have you ever wondered, like in the meeting, oh, what's my boss thinking? Oh, what's the head of finance thinking? They are saying the words, but you're like, is
You
that how you really
assuming,
feel, right?
yeah.
But when they build it, you're like, oh no, that's not what I meant. Okay, here, give me that, So you actually get more two-way communication because everyone needs to align that, okay, this is what is going on.
So basically, it brings people's thoughts into real life, into like 3D form, where you can actually see people's thoughts, actually, or
Yeah.
your own thoughts.
It's the closest you're going to get to actually seeing what's going on in other people's heads.
Wow.
Because when people build, they build the brain-hand connection, they
Yeah.
build what they know, they build what they feel.
Wow.
Sounds quite amazing. And having gone through so many of such sessions, I'm pretty sure you have had at least a few instances, those unexpected moments that you can share with us.
Unexpected moments or I didn't expect that to happen. I can give you one. This is a well-known telco provider in Malaysia. I do many sessions. In fact, I think I've done about 10 sessions with them so far. It's a well-known telco company. And this was, I think, towards the middle of my series of programs with them. And they send me different managers, different executives from all levels. It's open to all levels. This gentleman was quite senior. And he came in. And at the start of the session, I get everyone to write their intention down for the program. Set an intention, set your goal for this program. It's a 2-day program. By the end of this program, 5 p.m. tomorrow, what do you hope to accomplish? And everyone was talking about, my KPIs, my goals, or negotiating a better deal from my vendor, managing my calendar or my time better. And I'll never forget this gentleman. I think his name was Jason. I might be wrong. And all he wrote was, I want to find my way in life. I want to find my way in life. And I was very confused. I thought, okay, maybe he's just thinking like, do I want to be a manager? Do I want to fight for promotion or not? And then as the workshop progressed and he started building, I realized that he was using this workshop not for work at all. This gentleman was actually using this problem-solving workshop to work out what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. And he built the model, and we're talking about, where are you in life? What does life look like for you right now? And he built a road with a Lego minifigure and forking paths. And when it was his time to share, he said, well, this is where I am right now. I'll be honest with all of you. I'm actually thinking about leaving the company. And this was very surprising to everyone. They were like, where are you going? Are you going to a competitor? And he said, no, actually, I'm thinking of leaving Malaysia. I'm thinking of moving to Australia, bringing my wife, bringing my kids. And then as the session went further, we found out that this man had recently fought off a very serious illness. Yeah, he'd been fighting it for years. It was a near-death experience. And all of this came out as he was going through his Lego models. And he said, I'm actually in this session here and to talk about my feelings. I'm an introvert. I'm really bad with sharing information. But somehow when I'm building all this stuff, I feel very comfortable to tell you that this is what I've been going through. It's a crisis for me. I don't know what I want to do in my life. I'm in my 40s. I have a wife and children who depend on me. And I'll be honest, I don't know what to do. But I'm hoping that by the end of this workshop, I will know what to do. I was very surprised by that.
Usually, this kind of topics will only open up in private sessions with family consultants or psychiatrists and so on.
He said the same thing. Yeah. He, at the end of the first day, he came to me and he said, hey, Alex, I'm sorry if I derailed your session. I know you had your agenda and your learning objective. I know this is a bit off topic. And I stopped him right there and I said, no, every problem is valid because there's no differentiation really between your work life and your real life. If this is a doubt or if this is a concern that you're facing in your personal life, do you believe that your work life will not be affected by it? Of course, your work life is affected.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's why we had to talk about it and we had to give him a bit of a resolution in that session. The good news is towards the end of the workshop, when I asked him, so how do you feel? He said, I still don't know what I'm going to do, but this workshop has helped me narrow it down. I thought that there were 100 things I had to do, but now I've narrowed it down to just 3 things. And I feel like I already know which one I need to get started. So I may not know exactly what the solution is, but I know what I don't want. And sometimes it's just like in life and in business, right? Sometimes you don't need a to-do list. Sometimes you need a list of things not to do
Not
to
to
get
do
the
list.
outcome that you want. And that's what we managed to give him in that session.
Nice. Talking about to-do list, right? And one of the to-do lists for L&D managers whenever they want to conduct any training is to see an improvement or shift, perhaps in the mindset or the KPIs and performance of the team. What kind of change organizations can expect to see after conducting Lego Series Play workshop?
Well, the answer is that depends. It depends on what you want out of the session. So how I plan and structure my LSP programs is I always co-create the session with the person in charge or the requester. We might, let's say, set aside 1 or 2 days for problem solving, but I don't use strictly off-the-shelf materials. I always try to tailor it based on what is the nature of the problem you're facing right now. There's a world of difference between saying, oh, I think we have a communication issue. Okay, there are going to be different prompts for that versus, oh, actually, I think we have some structural issues, let's say from production or operations or engineering. That's going to be a very different flow. So if I talk about what is the tangible improvement that it can make, there are at least 3 that I would say across all the different programs and across all workshops I can observe. The first one is a greater sense of accountability. With Lego Series Play, I can only show you, I can only teach you, but the one who has to build, the one who has to tell the story, the one who has to do it is the person itself. So the feedback that I commonly get for that first part is, I feel that I am now more in control. I feel that I have more agency. I have more accountability. And it means that I take more responsibility over this particular issue, whether it's my task, it's my work, it's a KPI, or my projects. That's the first benefit. The second improvement will be a sense of expanded possibility. In the Asian education system, we tend to teach people, right? There's a correct way, there's a wrong way. It's either A, B, C, D, or E, none of the above. It's either black or white, A or B. Using Lego enhances creative and out-of-the-box thinking. You're talking about you want your employees to be able to think of things that no one else can think about, find hidden opportunities or hidden payoff. Lego is the way to do it. Because when you look at Lego, you might want to build, let's say, a Ferrari, or you want to build a house. Is there any one right way? No, there's no one correct way. So what we do is we actually use that as a metaphor. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants personal growth. You want development. Find a way that reflects you. Find a way that reflects your team or your company culture. Don't worry about what other people are doing. As long as it has a meaning to you, it is valid. Your job is to uncover it. So, number 1, more sense of accountability and agency. Number 2, expanded sense of creativity and possibility. And number 3, communication skill. Communication skill. Because everyone has to build and everyone has to share. You know, you're very seasoned and experienced as facilitators. What does a normal training look like? You ask questions, you pose questions, and I'm willing to bet that maybe the 20% of the most extroverted or dominant ones or senior members in that room, they will dominate, right? The 20% dominate the remaining 80%.
Yeah.
And they talk, and anytime you ask questions, it's always the same 1 or 2 people saying, me, 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 me. But the way Lego Series Play works is you actually force everyone to slow down. Everyone has to participate. Everyone has to build and everyone has to share. And it's so rich because now you have the youngest people in the room, the most junior, or maybe the most sidelined and quiet people who never speak up, never ask questions. They have nowhere to hide. And now we see what they can bring to the table. And what does this mirror to leaders and to professionals? They actually begin to learn and understand the importance of actually considering diverse viewpoints. So if we're talking about companies trying to expand D&I, diversity and inclusion, bridging the generation gap, X, Y, Boomer, Gen Z, this is a really good way for them to start those conversations in a very safe, non-confrontational environment.
That was great, Alex. Enjoyed listening to that. As you can tell, we are slowly going towards the end of this podcast. Um, as one of our final questions, I was wondering for those leaders who are seriously considering engaging you for maybe a session of Lego serious play. Um, what do they need to have in place? What kind of a scenario would be ideal time or place for you to go in and help?
There's no ideal time. There's never, the thing about problems in work and in life is that they never wait politely at your door and knock and say, hey, is this a good time? Is everything
Can we
aligned?
talk now? Yeah.
Can we talk now? I can come back after Chinese New Year. Well, that doesn't happen for problems, right?
They will barge in. Boom.
Yeah, they'll barge in. And you know what's the worst thing? They barge in and they're so rude, they bring their friends. They're like, hey, it's like, surprise, it's me, and all these other issues that tag along for the ride. So for any business leader or any HR manager who's interested in bringing in Lego Serious Play, my advice would be, don't wait. Information is power. Knowledge is power. It's good to know your options. It's okay to reach out. In fact, I encourage you to reach out, call me in, explain the scenario. We will have a discussion, and basically we'll conduct a sort of feasibility study about your needs, what's going on, and if Lego Serious Play is truly a good fit. Lego Serious Play has potentially infinite use cases, but I also like to manage expectations. It's not a magic wand, It's not a magic bullet. So we have to be very clear about what it can and cannot do. And if I determine that, oh, you know what? I've seen this scenario before, or it is within the realm of possibility to have a 1 day or 2 day workshop, or even a half-day workshop, then we'll talk about, okay, what happens next? How much content do you need? Do you need theory? Am I teaching frameworks? Or is it just a workshop? And then what happens is I will customize and design that proposal. That's what we will do.
Great.
So don't wait.
That's a keyword. Don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait.
Act now.
And for listeners who's interested in Lego Serious Play, what would be your advice to them? What should they do next?
What should you do next? I've got two answers for you. Yeah, there's the easy one and the not so easy one. Which one do you want to hear first?
I think everyone likes easy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the easy stuff. The easy stuff is what you do is you go into your nearest Lego store or your nearest box of bricks. Go look for the big yellow boxes. They're called the creator boxes. Don't wait. Buy it. Bring it back to your office, leave it in the meeting room, leave it in the break room, and then just, you can even watch some videos on how you might use Lego to do team building activities. And who knows, you can already get started on your improvement journey just by doing that. That's the easy way. The not so easy way is to commit and invest. And that means bringing in facilitation. It means designing a workshop, and it means consulting with me.
And we know the outcome could drastically be different from the easy to the not so easy one.
Would you trust someone who said that I'm going to drive you to the airport, but I've never been taught formally? I'm a self-taught driver and I don't have a driving license.
Of course not.
Yeah, same thing. Similar.
Fantastic.
Today is my last day on earth. Why not? Give it a try.
Why not? It's like saying that, hey, I know that you have, your doctorate, you've gone to university, Harvard Medical School, and you're a cardiologist. But my friend Steve has been doing it for 20 years, and he learned from the School of Hard Knocks. He's going to do your open heart surgery. Yeah. So for facilitation, it is not compulsory to get a certified LSP facilitator. But what the LSP certification does is that it guarantees standardization, it guarantees quality, it guarantees accountability and reliability. Because there's an issuing body, which is the Lego Serious Play Association of Master Trainers. And we can trace our lineage of instruction and program design all the way back to the original pioneers and innovators at the Lego Corporation in Denmark, who initially created this program.
Wow.
Yeah.
And above all of that, well, someone like you brings over a decade of experience doing that. It will look so different than someone who's trying to learn it off the YouTube.
Certainly.
Okay.
Alex, last but not least, I'm sure like a lot of listeners who are listening to this, they will be very curious to know, because one, like, when you attend a Lego Serious Play session, you will get to build stuff, and maybe you build stuff that you feel too precious to let it go, right? Will they get to keep whatever they build during the session?
Excellent question, Nadir. And for any of you who would like to know, have a conversation, reach out to our representatives from Cognitive Links, and they will give you a quotation. Yeah. Nice plug.
Okay, fantastic. It was a great session, Alex. We really enjoyed. We hope anyone who watches this episode of Voices of Impact have equally, if not more, enjoyed the talk,
Thank
the
you.
information that you gave. We look forward to having you on the show soon again to cover other aspects of the things that you do.
Sure.
Yeah, wonderful.
My pleasure.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was really, for me, it was really impactful. I really loved the session, and I hope the viewers did as well. So thank you so much, and looking forward to
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you again.